Hi, I'm Trisha Ross. Coming up next on Coronado TV, we're going to be doing a cocoa and canvas painting of this beautiful holiday starry night. Hi, I'm Trisha Ross. Welcome to Cocoa and Canvas. We're going to be doing this beautiful holiday starry night painting, very Van Gogh-ish, and it has lots of swirls and lots of artistic license. Feel free to use that, and when you're ready to go, I am too. So let's get started. First, we're going to start with the small brush, and we're going to dip it in the water to loosen up the bristles. You want to dab it onto your paper towel to get as much of the water out of there as possible. And we're going to start with an easy triangle shape. We're just going to mark the space that we're going to do our tree. You can do a big tall tree, tall skinny. You can do a short and fat tree. I'm going to do something a little bit like that. I'm going to start almost at the top. I'm going to come straight down to the bottom. And again, you're going to use your yellow, and we're just going to make a triangle shape. We are just creating the space that we're going to have for our Christmas tree, and we will come back to that. The next section that we're going to do will be the beautiful blue sky. Now this is the time that you can choose the larger brush, and again, dip it in water, open up the bristles, wipe it off on the paper towel, and you want to start with your dark blue. If you prefer a lighter blue sky, you can mix your white into this blue and create a lighter hue. But right now I'm going to start with the dark, and you just want to put it on your canvas any direction. It doesn't matter. You can go vertical, you can go horizontal, you can go diagonal. You want to cover your entire canvas and the sides of your canvas, top, sides, all around, creating your frame with the blue. You want to put this everywhere on your canvas except for inside that triangle that we created with the yellow. We don't want to create a dark color inside of that triangle when we try to put our green on there. So again, just cover the entire canvas with your large brush. And if you need to spread your paint a little bit thinner, you want to make sure to get it on very evenly, because we're going to be painting over that with our white and our lighter colors. You can always dip your brush a little bit in the water, and it will help you spread your paint a little bit further on your canvas. Again, in the dark blue. If you want to frame this picture with a color outside of this dark blue, you can leave the top and the bottom and the sides until the very end, and you can frame it in a different color if you like. I'm going to just follow all the way around with my dark blue because I really like that color, and it makes it look like my painting's being wrapped around the edges. So you want to get that on really good. And again, it doesn't matter which direction you go, because we're going to cover over that. Just want to get it all on there really well. And I chose this painting because I really like Vincent van Gogh's style. I think it's very easy. His brush strokes are really short. They're rounded. They're kind of whimsical. And he uses really bold, beautiful colors, which is why I think he's so popular, certainly with me anyway. All right, once we get the background completely on there and your canvas is covered, again, don't worry if you have some of your canvas showing through, we're going to cover that over. Once you do that, you want to make sure you really rinse your brush out well. We're going to use that for lighter colors later. And again, dab it on your paper towel to make sure you get most of the color and the water out of it. So go ahead and stay with your larger brush, and then we're going to be moving on to the dark green. We always want to do our layers with darker base and lighter on top. So we're going to start with your medium dark green here. And on this part, I'm just going to fill in the triangle, just so. I'm going to use vertical strokes on this because it's more in keeping with the tree shape. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into the green and I'm going to really flatten out my brush. Really get it flat so that you have a really fine edge. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the brush on the vertical and I'm just going to come down and I'm going to do really light strokes to mimic a Christmas tree shape. Again, you want to really pat that paint down in that brush, get it really fine, and come right out to the sides of your tree. Okay, just like so. All right, starting to look like a Christmas tree. Okay, again, I'm going to rinse out the brush really, really well. And then we're going to move on to all of our swirls. So what you want to do is take your smaller brush. This one kind of has a little bit of an edge on it. I believe you have one that's smaller and more pointy, which is totally fine to use. And we're going to dip it in the dark paint and a little bit of white. We're going to lighten that up to get a medium blue. And if you have a pointy brush, you want to roll it around in a circle. If you're using a more of a flat brush, again, you want to go really flat, get a sharp edge. You're going to put it on the horizontal, straight onto the canvas like this. So we're not going like this, we're actually going into the canvas. And I created a bunch of different circles. You can put as many swirls on here as you want. Maybe you like fewer, maybe you like larger ones. But I'm going to kind of start over here and I'm just going to follow it all the way out. And I'm going to just go around and create one. And let's see, here's another smaller one up here. And there's another little, I'm going to put a little one over here and a little larger one there. Again, you can put as many as you want, as few as you want. And maybe I'll just do only one more down here. So your lighter blue is on there. And then next, what we want to do is come back in the dark blue. And we want to just kind of come around there. It'll look kind of the same color, but you're going to have darker hues actually in it. This is when the lines get broken up. You can really use your creative license for this part. And you just want to make these little tiny lines of light around each of your circles. Again, the brush is really pointed and you want to come directly on the canvas, directly pointed at the canvas. All right, I'm going to rinse this out and I'm going to move on to a little bit of yellow. Don't worry if it comes out a little bit greenish. It's okay. It's a night sky. There's lots of reflections. So I'm going to get yellow. And again, pressing right down into the paint, getting a really fine edge on the paintbrush. Okay. And coming with the same technique straight in onto the canvas. And I'm just going to follow it around. And you can put these wherever you kind of like. A little bit curvy. And a little yellow circle in the middle. Again, don't worry if it's a little bit green. We'll come back over it when it dries up a little bit. This is a place where you can use much more paint because we're not really going to change this part of it. So we don't have to worry about layering on this part. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow here, a little tiny bit here. And I'm going to rinse my brush out again, just so that I make sure it's completely clean. I got a little bit of green hue in there, so I'm going to go back to my yellow. And again, small little strokes, just enough to add a little bit of glow, Christmas glow around there. You can follow your circle all the way around if you like. I kind of like the shorter little whimsy strokes for light. And you want to make sure that you hit all of your circles. Well, there we go. All right, now we're going to go back to our tree. So you want to go back to your big brush. So I'm going to rinse out the small one, dry it off. I'm going to go back to the big brush. You don't need to put it back in the water. The bristles are already spread apart, so you're good. And then we're going to go in and we're going to start to layer on our colors now. We started with the dark green, so you can see it's darker where it's on the blue, a little bit lighter in the middle. And now we're going to go into that light green color that you have. And you just want to get pretty, you want to kind of really load the brush on this one because it's going to cover over. Your painting might still be a little tiny bit wet. And we're going to start at the top and we are going to make those sweeping little Christmas tree strokes on the whole tree. We're just going to fill it all out this way. You can turn your brush. There we go. And then you want to kind of do the same thing down the middle. Those little sweeping, make it look Christmas tree-ish. There we go. I like this light green color. It's happy. You can use the darker green in here too if you like. But I'm just going to add a lot of this light and sunshine on this tree. So now you can see it starts to get a little bit layered. And you can use all the paint on your brush. You can turn it sideways and dab it on there. Once you get your strokes, just keep, if you're going to dab, keep that in toward the middle of the tree and not on these sweeping sections. There. All right, and then we will come back in with our smaller brush and we'll add a little more detail to those toward the end of the painting. Again, you always want to paint furthest away to closest. And since we're doing this in kind of fast mode, we'll speed it up a little bit. So we're changing a little bit of the technique. Again, you can tap the brush. This makes it look like there's actual branches on here. You can tap it sideways. And just use all the paint you have in there. You can even wrap it a little bit around the edge if you want to, if you're painting around your canvas. Okay. All right. Now that this part has dried a little bit, we're going to go back and we're going to add some of the white to this painting. Small brush, pat down the paint, get a really fine edge. And again, you're going to put it directly on the canvas, straight on. And you just want to fill in some of those spaces with this bright white, shiny, beautiful color. Okay. And you want to hit all of your spaces. You can put as much white on as you want if you like really magical, sparkly holiday look. You can add more white. If you want more of a dark, deep, mysterious night, you can add less. And again, these are small little strokes, just like Van Gogh. He had these really tiny, definite strokes, which I really love. And again, just going to put them kind of wherever. You don't have to follow the painting exactly, just kind of go where you feel. And you'll know when you get something that you really like. There. Okay. All right. And we're going to come back. Don't worry about that yellow. We're going to fix that. We'll save that for very last. And that way you'll have bright yellow centers. And this is the time if you want to. If you wanted more light blue, this is the time to add it. If you wanted darker blue in your circles, you certainly can do that. I'm going to go back to the tree because I'm going to save this part for the very last to put those little wispy white places on there. We'll do that. We'll finish our painting that way. So on the tree, I kind of like mine the way it looks now. I mean, I can see a depth of 3 different colors. There's dark and there's a medium green and then the light minty green on the top. So I'm going to actually leave my tree like this. If you still feel like you need other colors, you can go back and you can use your small brush and you can paint in some green. Maybe you want the darker green back on your painting. You can certainly add these pieces back in, here and there. And then you'll have that same look. But I kind of like mine the way it is. So I'm going to move on to decorating the tree. This is the really fun part. So all parts of the paintbrush are usable by artists and painters. So we are actually going to take our small brush and we're going to use the very end of it, the tip, to do all of our garland and our little ornaments. So first I'm going to put the white on. So you want to dip the end of your paintbrush in the white. You want to make sure there's a little kind of head on it a little bit. And you want to go back on your painting and you're going to come down sort of at an angle. So I'm going to do a sweeping, sort of like how the garland is on the tree normally. And you want to just barely kind of touch it on there. And you want to go all the way out to the edge. And then down on a diagonal in kind of an upward motion. And get more paint on there. You can have it be really bold like this painting up here, or you can have it be a little bit fainter and light, like teeny tiny Christmas lights, or you can do a combination of both. And then we're going to finish up. You can add as much of it as you like. I'm going to kind of stick with the wide open garland. There we go. And keep going down. You want to go all the way kind of to the edge of your branches there. And then all the way down off the canvas. Okay. Kind of like that the way it is. So, and also if you want to add, there's no star up here, but you certainly can add one up there on your tree if you'd like to. And then next I'm going to put on the ornaments. I like red a lot, so I'm going to use quite a few red. You can make them as big or small as you like. You can put as many on there as you like. I'm going to kind of spread them out a little bit. Let's see. I use a lot of red. It's my daughter's favorite color, and it's happy. And it really sets your painting apart, I think. Your eye just kind of goes right to it. All right. And then I'm going to put yellow on. And I've got a little bit left in there without any green on it. Let's see. And I'm just going to kind of scatter these in different places. Again, you can put as many ornaments as you want. You don't have to put any on if you don't want to. Some people like just a really beautiful green tree, and that's okay. And then I think I'm actually going to make purple because I really like purple. So I'm going to take the red and I'm going to mix it in with my blue and a little bit of my white. I'm going to get a really light lavender-y color here. More red. You can make it dark purple if you like. You don't even have to use purple. You can mix up your green with white and get a really, really, really light green or even blue. But I kind of like lavender. Again, I'm just going to use the bottom part of my brush and I'm just going to add those on there. Just wherever I see a little opening. There you go. Okay. If you are happy with your tree, we're going to finish up this painting. We're going to go and touch up those yellow places. So we're going to stay with our small brush. You want to make sure that you clean off the back part of your brush or else you'll end up with a paint mustache. Or I'm going to dip it in my water again one last time. And I'm going to go back in my yellow. And there's still parts of my yellow that don't have green in there. And I'm just going to come back on here and I'm just going to actually touch up my yellow places. You just want to dab at this point. If you still have a little bit of wetness or a little green, you can just dab. You want to make sure you have a lot of paint on your brush so that you can just come in there and make those completely yellow. And then finish that up. There we go. Okay, this is the time you can add your little white wisps if you like how I kind of did in this upper painting. I kind of like that look. Or you can leave your dark, beautiful sky just the way it is if you like. But if you are going to add those white wisps, again, you want to go in your white paint. Make sure that you tap the brush down on both sides and get a really fine edge. And you can just barely want to touch this. Want to just really come. You can actually even take some of the white off your paintbrush if you want. And you just want to add little tiny wisps of white. So they're a little bit lighter than the big stark white. So kind of like that. And very last, to finish it off, we're going to do our star, this big star up here. Little brush, fine edge. You want to make sure you wipe as much of that moisture off as you possibly can on this one. Really, really straight edge. And white, both sides. You want to again tap it down. Now, if you have yellow on here that's still wet, don't worry about it. Part of the star and the aura around it is yellowish, so don't worry. You want to come straight onto your canvas, and you can use your finger on the edge if you want to sort of balance yourself, but you want to just come straight down through there. You're going to come diagonal straight across, and I'm going to again wipe my paintbrush off, get more white on there, and you're just going to do an X in the middle, a small X. You want small X like that. And there you have it, your own Starry Night holiday painting. I hope you had fun. I sure did.